One.
Welcome in, Eagle Nation. National Signing Day 2021 for Georgia Southern football. The Clay Helton era begins here at the FOC. Joined now by our new offensive coordinator in Brian Ellis. Brian, first off, welcome to Statesboro. Appreciate you joining us.
Man, really fired up to be here, fired up to be a part of Eagle Nation, and look forward to get going.
National Signing Day is always a big day around college football, but especially for you guys, just having boots on the ground in the last couple of weeks. What's the last few days and weeks been like for you guys?
It's been hectic. We've hit the ground running fast. Having Coach Helton hired early on, has really helped in that regard. Being a Georgia recruiter myself at the previous institution I was at allowed me to kind of hit the ground running and be on some guys early that already, knew my face and knew what we had done. And so that really helped us here on National Signing Day.
Now, a lot of the signees on the offensive side have already come in. They've already come out on gseagles.com and on GS Athletics football social media. But kind of take us through some of them. We'll start with Dowling Cobb.
Dalen's going to be a really good player for us. He played quarterback a lot at Washington Wilkes High School. Georgia kid, he's going to play slot receiver for us. We're really excited about him. He's a really fast kid. He's quiet. He's a really good kid, comes from a really good program, a really good family. Something that we really looked into doing was signing kids from winning programs that know how to win already and, being able to step foot on campus and help us out really quickly.
A couple of big names that Eagle Nation has gotten to know over the last just few days. David Dallas, Josh Dallas, the twins coming in for Georgia Southern football.
Again, same thing, winners. Played in the state championship the last 2 seasons, won the state championship this year. What a cool feeling that's got to be. They played for their dad, they're twins. Being able to do that, I'm a coach's kid myself, so I imagine that feeling was pretty special. David, as a football player, really, really good quarterback. He can make the off-platform throws, really, really accurate. I go back every time to just being a winner. Josh plays multiple positions, multiple sports. We're going to use him as a slot receiver to start off with, what we call the Y position. And really looking forward to both those guys being a part of this program.
They were somebody that committed late to Georgia Southern, just coming officially on Monday. What does that process look like when you have somebody flip? And I know everybody talks about the excitement of the players on National Signing Day, but from a coach's perspective, when you get a big flip to Georgia Southern, what does that feel like?
Well, it feels good. Your hard work pays off. That one happened really fast. Again, it's a relationship that I'd had for a long time, obviously known Coach Dallas. And right when I got here and Coach Helton and I kind of sat down and talked about what we wanted to be and what we wanted to do, I identified David as a guy that I wanted to play quarterback here. And, him having a twin brother that's an exceptional receiver obviously doesn't hurt. And, obviously we're really fired up to get both of them.
Now, we're getting a little bit of breaking news. A new signee coming in for Georgia Southern. Joshua Thompson, a wide receiver out of Johns Creek, just inking here for Georgia Southern.
Let's go, Eagle Nation. This one's big. Fast. He scored 19 touchdowns this year in the highest classification in the state of Georgia. That kid, the way he can run, he's 10-7 in the 100. If you watch his highlight film, he's blocked 7 kicks over the last couple of years, so I know Coach West is excited on the special team side. This kid is really, really dynamic. Again, another kid that I've had a relationship with for a long time. This guy's going to make our offense a lot better, I can assure you.
You keep going through the list. Another quarterback on the list out of Walton and Marietta, Zach Roseman, somebody that you guys are really excited about.
Again, really excited about Zach. Comes from a winning program. They're in the Final Four in the highest classification in the state of Georgia, out of Walton High School. Does a really good job, played really good competition every week. He's a really good passer. He's big. He's a prototypical quarterback of what you want. He's got big hands. He's really, really accurate with the football, which, when you talk about the quarterback position, that's what you look for, a guy that makes really good decisions and can throw the ball extremely accurate, and I think that's what we've gotten.
Another guy coming in from Montezuma, Marcus Sanders, another wide receiver for you guys.
I really fall in love hard with these kids when I start to recruit them. I started recruiting Marcus a long time ago. Montezuma, Georgia is not far from where I grew up. It's kind of the middle of nowhere, which that's my niche. That's what I really like. I like those kids in the rural areas because that's where I'm from. The big thing about those guys is I know how important football is. This kid is really, really talented. He's every bit of 6'2". Timed him myself this summer at 4.51 in the 40, so I know he can really run. That's the one thing I will not sacrifice at the receiver position is speed. Don't really care how big you are. You have to be able to run. You have to be able to separate. And to be able to find a kid at this size that can run this way, is really big for Eagle Nation, and we are really, really excited about Marcus.
The last two that have already signed for Georgia Southern, a couple of offensive linemen, Chandler Strong out of Warner Robins, Pishon Wimberly out of Moreland, 6'3", 315 pounds for Wimberly. Just a huge, huge gets for Georgia Southern.
Yes, two big road graders. It starts and ends up front. If it weren't for those guys, we'd be playing 7-on-7, and that's not what we do. We play football. So getting good O-linemen allows us to do what we want to do offensively. And having Chandler from Houston County High School, I'm really good friends with his offensive coordinator at his high school. Like I said before, I couldn't find someone in the whole school to say a bad word about the kid. Just a phenomenal football player, but a phenomenal human being, loves the weight room, strong. And what I look for when you're recruiting O-linemen, he moves other big human beings that aren't willing to be moved, and he can move them. And that's what we're looking for.
You've talked about what you look for in receivers and linemen and quarterbacks throughout this process on the field, off the field, to bring guys into Georgia Southern. What is it that really stands out off the field?
Hard work. It starts with that. Football is one of the last things in life that's tough on this earth. And having guys that'll work hard at it, having guys that really, really care about the game, toughness, being a good person. This part of the world, we really still rely on the words of the high school coach. And, if a high school coach says some bad things about a kid, we're not going to recruit him, because my dad's a high school coach. I know, they're going to tell us the truth, and that's what I want. And when we're recruiting these kids, you got to have high character, you got to be tough, you got to be smart, and I really think that's what we've done with this offensive class.
With the staff really getting here in the last 2, 3, 4 weeks, what's really been the biggest key for everybody working together all at once, but you're still trying to get to know each other?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things that we did when we were putting the staff together is the staff continuity, the staff getting along. If the staff doesn't like each other and doesn't like working with each other, then the players aren't going to, it starts at the top. And so when we put the staff together, we put a lot of guys that I've worked with, a lot of guys that I've been successful with, and guys that when we're talking, it's the same way in recruiting. You call people that's worked with those guys, and it starts with what type of person they are, and you got to be a good person first. You have to care about the kids. At the end of the day, I know we get hired and fired in this profession really fast, but at the end of the day, it's about those players. And if we can get those players to buy in and believe in what we do and believe in who we are as human beings, then the winning and losing takes care of itself. And that's what I look for, and that's what we've done.
There's a couple of guys that will continue to trickle in throughout the day, just a few more on the offensive side that you're expecting. But there's been a lot of excitement out of the war room. There's been a lot of yeah babies coming out of the war room. How exciting is this day for this staff?
Well, to get these young kids and to start building this program where we think we're headed, we've done a really good job. The running back out of Brooks County, again, you're talking about Amari that just won a state championship. And so you look at all these signees, they come from these winning programs that know what it takes, and that's what we're looking for here. Signing day and high school recruiting is the lifeblood of a football program. The transfers are great. We're going to do a good job in those things too, but you have to build your football program from the high school ranks. And we want to do it from the state of Georgia high school ranks. And you look at what we've done today, the words that we've put out, we fulfilled that. And I think you're going to look up very, very soon, and you're going to see this program rolling, and it's going to be because of today.
Coach, I really appreciate the time. I know you've got a lot more to do the rest of the day in the next couple of weeks, but really appreciate the time. Congratulations on the class.
Well, we appreciate it. Go Eagle Nation and Hail Southern.
Once again, that's offensive coordinator Brian Ellis. We will continue with more live look-ins in the 10 o'clock hour, the 1 o'clock hour. The press conference will happen at about 3 o'clock, and then shortly after that, we'll sit down with head coach Clay Helton coming up later on this afternoon. But here from the Ted Smith Family Football Operations Center for offensive coordinator Brian Ellis, this is Colin Lacy saying so long, everybody.